Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the country. Now, you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of over there? Because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They say this all the time. They talk down to us. They think we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter. But I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then definitely please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussion. Let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and it's turning into something truly, truly special. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing that. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of The Herd with Colin Cowherd, where he's going to list the top 10 players in the AFC Championship game. There's not really much to say before we actually know who he's about to list, so let's get right to it. I assume it's going to be Patrick Mahomes as 1, and then Lamar Jackson 2. But after that, I don't know who he's going to, where he's going to put anyone. So let's just get into it.
So here we go, our top 10, Ravens and Kansas City. Number 1 is the best player in the world, Patrick Mahomes. Highest playoff win percentage, 81% in the Super Bowl era. What do you want me to say? He's getting Andy Reid national TV commercials. His 6 years have been unbelievable. The highest graded quarterback this year in both the divisional round and the postseason, according to PFF. Now, I do think he has faced a worn-down, beat-up Buffalo and Miami defense, and it will look different this weekend. Number 2, Lamar Jackson. Best quarterback this year, but I will say he doesn't have the pocket numbers that would stack him up against Mahomes. He does have the highest winning percentage, 73% of any quarterback without a Super Bowl appearance. I think that will change this weekend in the Super Bowl era. Won 4 straight starts by plus 14 points. He is a nightmare for defensive linemen and defensive coordinators. Number 3, Roquan Smith, who's literally changed the defense. Most of these guys were here, and Roquan Smith showed up, and it's the number 1 scoring defense and the number 1 total defense, the best linebacker in football for an organization that has a pretty rich history in great linebackers. Pro Bowler, All-Pro, tackle machine, culture changer defensively, Roquan Smith. Number 4 is Travis Kelce. He's older, may have been number 3 on this list a couple years ago, but Mahomes and Kelce have the most touchdowns, 16 by any duo in NFL playoff history. Although he doesn't feel like he runs quite like he did 2 to 3 years ago, he remains an incredibly difficult cover. Number 5, Chris Jones. Chris Jones, highest graded defensive player on either team, 11 sacks this year, second most by an interior defensive lineman.
Right, so
not going to make the tackles
the
of Roquan Smith, won't be as active, but a complete and utter disruptor, almost to the level of Aaron Donald. Number 6, a rookie, Zay Flowers. Lamar finally got his game breaker on the perimeter. I can't believe how good he is. 5 touchdowns, last 6 games. You can use him a lot of different ways. This kid is a spectacular player. And this was a year in which there was a lot of good rookie receivers. And they asked a lot of him because Mark Andrews wasn't around because of the injury. So for him to come into a winning culture that demands a lot with a lot of veterans and to be that good kind of blows me away. Number 7, L'Jarius Sneed, Kansas City. That kid is led the Chiefs in picks and passes defended this year. If you went after him, the quarterback rating was 59.3. He is a hyper-athletic corner for the Chiefs. Number 8, another one of their corners, Trent McDuffie, who also, by the way, led the NFL with 5 forced fumbles. So the former Washington Husky, he was targeted 77 times this year. I don't think he's quite as athletic as Sneed, but you could flip these guys. The 2 chief corners, 7 and 8. Number 9, sensational, Kyle Hamilton, the safety. Second highest graded Ravens defender, only player with 3+ sacks and 4 picks this season, over 4. He was good the first minute he arrived. Remember, they went and drafted a center and a safety in the first round, and everybody went, a center and a safety? They have both been phenomenal. And number 10 hasn't played a ton, but I think he's second or third best tight end for several years, Mark Andrews. Again, 7 games missed due to an ankle injury. I am a huge fan. He's also something like Travis Kelce and Gronk. He's really big on crucial downs. He's not doing stuff late in blowouts. Mark Andrews, first couple series, third down, fourth down, red zone. Barry Gronk, Travis Kelce. He is great when great is needed.
Okay, so I was going to see if he was putting Mark Andrews on. I don't know. I'm not sure when it was officially released that Mark Andrews was going to be playing. And I know he's been like a full practice participant. And again, I don't know what that means in terms of how much he's going to be utilized. I know they're obviously confident in his health and things of that nature, but I just don't know, if you're just going to be able to just plug and play him come time Sunday. Obviously, it's such an important game. It's do or die. And it's not to say that Mark Andrews isn't a bona fide seasoned vet, that he can't handle that, but it's just different. It is a variable that you have to consider. But if anyone can do it, the Travis Kelce's, the Gronks, the Mark Andrews of the world, they're more than capable of doing it. So I don't think it's going to be the biggest issue unless, like, again, when you're recovering from an injury like that, there are setbacks. I don't know if any of you have anyone who's watching this, who've had surgeries or legitimate injuries. It is very often 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And even and granted, his injury wasn't like the most severe injury, right? He didn't tear an ACL or something like that. There is still a pretty solid adjustment period and soreness and issues. And truthfully, especially depending on the injury, you mostly are never 100% recovered, right? You get knocked down 1%. You get down to 99%, and that's just the way it is. And it's a tough thing to accept, but it is. But again, I don't think Andrews had such a severe injury that there will be potentially too many limitations, but it can still get tweaked. It still won't have the level of endurance and explosiveness potentially. So it's just something to kind of look out for. But I mean, I think this list is totally fair. There's nothing that I'm really looking at it, although I'm sure some people will complain that Rice is not on there, or maybe like Pacheco or something. I don't know. I think it probably depends on which side, who you think is better, right? But I think the main thing that I want to point out is I think it's 5-5, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, of course. Colin, the way how he breaks down these things and the way how he picks who's going to win is he'll often say, who has more great players in the top 10. This is a wash. And then he also will say, who's the better quarterback and the better head coach. Now, normally, though, the quarterback takes the default, or takes like the foundation of who Colin thinks is going to win. That's kind of been his prevailing philosophy these days, is whoever has the better quarterback will win. What's interesting is unless he's changed his opinion, I'm pretty confident he believes the Ravens are going to win, and even talks about the Ravens potentially blowing out the Chiefs. Again, unless he's changed that has been kind of what he's been flirting with, or what he believes. Now, he clearly thinks that Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. And right now in the top 10 players, he believes that it's a wash, and if anything, in the top 5, there's more Chiefs players. And the coaches, he knows Andy Reid. He considers Andy Reid to be the best coach definitely right now in the NFL, potentially the best coach in the history of the NFL. And I can't necessarily disagree with that. So I'm curious then as to why Colin thinks the Ravens are going to win this game then. With all that being said, if they have the better quarterback, if it's technically a wash between who has the best players in the top 5, in the top 10, excuse me, and the coach goes to, and now granted, Harbaugh is obviously a great coach, but you would still have to pick Reid. If you had to pick who's a better coach, I don't think it's so controversial to say Andy Reid, but at the same time, Andy Reid is a specialist, right? He's offensive head coach. That is who he is. Harbaugh is, technically he cut his teeth a lot of times with like special teams and stuff like that, but he's not known as the defense guy, the offense guy, the special teams guy. Like I think for a while, maybe he was seen as more of like a defense type, but he seemed to have shed that, right? Not so much as say, a Bill Belichick is defense, Andy Reid offense, Shanahan offense. It seems to be a little bit muddied when it comes to Harbaugh with regards to that. So kind of both Harbaughs for that matter. So it's curious. I wish I knew exactly then why he thinks that's going to be. I also wonder. I'm not sure. I haven't looked this up. What the weather is going to be. If it's going to be really cold. It's Baltimore. I'm on the East Coast right now, and it's pretty warm. It's like unseasonably warm, or I don't even know what the seasons are anymore, quite honestly. But like yesterday, it was like borderline hot. It was like moist. It was like rainy and warm, and it felt like it was becoming spring. So I have no idea what the weather is like in Baltimore this weekend. And so I'm curious because I think the big benefit that Lamar Jackson has going into this game, but it could also be the drawback, is his legs, is his ability to run. And we know that the Chiefs can be run on. We saw what Josh Allen was able to do. And the truth is that Lamar Jackson will be able to do that most likely all day. And Lamar Jackson's a way better runner than Josh Allen. And that's saying a lot because Josh Allen is a great runner. But Lamar Jackson is so twitchy, and he just demoralizes guys on the defense. And again, I think that could be both good and bad because it's a gift and a curse. When you have the legs of like Lamar Jackson, it's hard not to just rely on that because it's like, I can throw the ball downfield and maybe into tricky tight coverage, or I can just rip off a 20, 30-yard run here, right? Or even just a 5, 10-yard run, right? Like most of the time, any positive yards are good yards. So it is something that someone like Lamar Jackson does have to balance. Like in a lot of ways, it's another tool in his tool belt, but it's also just another variable that he has to contemplate. That's why quarterbacks who aren't the most mobile, or they're mobile enough where they can escape some pressure and stuff, but they're not really looking to like rip off a run. In a lot of ways, their job is easier. It's simplified. It's less for them to kind of do and handle. And I think a Lamar Jackson, my one question going into this big game, because technically this is the biggest game he's ever played in his career. His legs are what got him so far in his life and in his career. He's obviously become a really, 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 really good passer. And he also has that effortless, like flick of the wrist type throw. So I'm not downplaying his ability to pass, right? I'm not. But his legs are special. That's undeniable considering just what he's done in the NFL. And I just wonder that if the game gets tighter, if the game gets more intense, or if he throws a few bad balls, or maybe he throws an interception early in the game or even later in the game, does he kind of fall back on like what he knows and he just starts running more? I don't know. We've never seen Lamar Jackson in this situation before. So to really assume that we have any idea, we just don't. I mean, we can of course speculate, right? That's what we're doing right now in general, right? That's all of sports talk, but it is one of those things. And so I am curious. And also, but if the throwing game is just really working, then he won't need to, right? Like if he's able just to kind of sit back and do what he does and just kind of let the game come to him, where hey, the field's wide open, so he's gonna rip off for a 10-yard run, 7-yard run, 20-yard run, or he's able to be patient and get some throws, and then he's not as nervous. I think Lamar Jackson's interesting because I think I've said this before, but I'm not sure. Like I think he's both confident and comfortable, but also he knows he hasn't been here yet. Like he even acknowledged, right? He even admitted in it was kind of tongue-in-cheek way that he hates playing against Mahomes, right? Like I think Lamar Jackson is a very real person. I think he will let issues roll off his back, but I think he does feel them. Okay. And there's a difference. And I think someone like a Mahomes could have back-to-back drives where he throws 2 pick sixes. And Mahomes is at the point of his career where it doesn't matter. It's really just the next drive. Let's go. Fine. I threw back-to-back pick sixes. He's not like flustered. Mahomes is not like, oh my God, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? The moment's getting too big for me. I think there is the potential of that for, say, Lamar Jackson. Again, to be clear, I'm not saying that's going to happen or I predict that's going to happen, but it's just technically a possibility because he just hasn't been there yet. I mean, it has to technically be a possibility because he hasn't proven otherwise yet. And to me, you really have to prove otherwise. Mahomes has proven that to us otherwise. Even Jalen Hurts, who I think Lamar Jackson is better, but like Jalen Hurts has proven that, giving up a fumble, which then was returned for a touchdown in the Super Bowl, and was able to just let that roll off his back and boom, and just continue to play at a high level and really largely outplay Patrick Mahomes for the rest of the game. So he's proven that in the Super Bowl, in as high levels as possible. Lamar Jackson has proven that when the stakes were significantly lower. But now the stakes are as high as they could be. And this is probably the highest level AFC title game someone like Lamar Jackson could play, specifically because it's against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I think maybe this game would still be heightened for the Ravens and Lamar Jackson if he was playing the Bills or the Bengals or, I don't know, name any other AFC team. But I think it's definitely a notch up against Mahomes. They're aware of the greatness of Mahomes. They respect it. And yeah, I think it's going to be a really, really interesting game. And I'm really curious to see how both teams face adversity, if any adversity is thrown their way. And really, again, largely like Lamar Jackson. If let's say the Chiefs start off and it's 10-0, right? It's like, and Lamar Jackson then goes 3-and-out or something, right? It's like, what does Lamar do that next drive, right? Does he still, does he force balls down the field? Does he keep ripping off for runs because that's what he can do? Like, I'm very curious to see because, and this is what's so exciting about this game because we've never seen Lamar Jackson be able to play in this level of a game. And so that's really, really exciting. And again, I know we can use previous experiences from previous games or even in college, but that may as well have been 20 years ago at this point. Seriously, I mean, it's just like he's a completely different person, different players around him, different coaches, different everything. So we have to throw all that out the window and just look forward to what we get to see on Sunday. And I'm really, really excited for it. But what do you guys all think? What do you think about this top 10? What players do you think should be on it versus off it? I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. This one doesn't seem as controversial as what Colin did for the NFC, leaving Purdy off. So I'm curious to see what you guys all think. Let me know in the comments below. Please don't forget to subscribe. As I said, we are building an amazing community here and it's turning into something truly special and I would love to see you part of it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as it really helps with the visibility and the algorithm and I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much and see you next time.